All right, economics students, this is a video that's going to give you some asynchronous work and review Learning Standard 6, which is cross price and income elasticity. So before I get to the asynchronous work, let me do a quick review of the three types of elasticities that you should have a good understanding of by now. Let me see if I can use my editing tool here. Okay, so make sure you know price elasticity of demand, okay, which is always positive. We're always using absolute values there. For example, if the price were to decrease or quantity were to decrease, don't worry about negatives. We're just using positive numbers here. Keep in mind, you know how to figure out a percentage change before you even dive into any of these. So percentage change is just, there's delta representing change divided by the original, okay, ORG, okay? And then if you wanted to put it into a percentage, you could either move the decimal over 2 spots or you multiply by 100. Okay, so you got to know that one. That is one that is key in order to figure out the percentage change in the first place. So break it down into steps. So if you're looking for, the biggest key here for Learning Standard 5 and 6, slide, I think it's 140 or 144. Slide 140 is one of the biggest ones, because 140, it breaks it into the steps. It tells you how to determine the percentage change, how to figure out elasticity of demand, and then gives you like a key essentially. All right. So you should have elasticity of demand. In the last class, you should have learned about both through my instruction and through the Edpuzzle instruction. You should have learned income elasticity and cross-price elasticity. So income elasticity helps determine the difference between normal and inferior goods. Cross-price elasticity helps determine whether goods are substitutes or complements. Now, see right now if you can identify a pattern with all three of these. What's a pattern in all three of them? Go ahead and pause the video, take a look at the equations for all three. What's a pattern that you notice? All right, the pattern that you should notice is that the change in demand is always the numerator. It's always on top, right? Change in demand divided by change in price. Change in demand divided by change in income. Change in demand divided by the change in the price of good Y. All right, so keep that in mind. If you're a little hazy on this, always remember demand goes on the top. Demand over whatever the other variable is. All right, so that's that slide. Cross price, if you get a number that is positive, okay, think of the positive relationship with substitutes. When the price of one substitute increases, demand for the other substitute increases. So positives are going to be your substitutes. If you get a number that's negative, it's going to be complements, because when the price of one goes up, they buy them together, right? If they're complements, people buy less of complement X, and also they buy less of complement Y. So remember, negatives are complements, positives are substitutes. Next slide will be normal and inferior goods, did I miss them? Or do I just not have a slide? Oh, there they are, okay. Income elasticity is normal and inferior goods. I give you the relationships right there. If there's an increase in income, people buy more normal goods. It's a positive relationship. So if you get a positive number for income elasticity, it's going to be a normal good. If you get a negative number, that means that when people's incomes increase, they buy less inferior goods. So if you get a negative number, that's going to be an inferior good. All right, so if we're feeling good on that, what you should do right now is you should pause the video, take a look at practice problems 1, 2, and 3, and this is slide 164. If you're following along on your own slides at home, slide 164. Pause the video, see if you can do numbers 1, 2, and 3 on this slide, and then I will then play the video and we'll talk about an answer key. All right, so if you've had a chance to pause the video and try out numbers 1, 2, and 3, before I show you the answers, I'll just talk you through each of them. All right, so number 1, what you're looking at here is the change, the percentage change in price and the percentage change in demand to determine elasticity of demand. So the change in price is 2. 2 divided by 4, your original price. Change in demand is 12. Your original units are 25. So once you determine that, divide the two, demand over price, and you should get an elasticity of demand. For number 2, your income goes from $4,000 to $4,300 a month, so the change is $300 divided by 4,000. That's your percentage change in income. For a second sentence, the demand increases from $350 to $410. So you got two positive numbers. So right there, knowing that, we're going to know that these are normal goods, right? Because if income's increasing and demand is increasing, positive, right? Normal goods. So that should tell you right there that's a normal good. Still got to do the math, and I'll show you the math in a second for the answer key. Number 3, you got to figure out if they're substitutes or complements. All right, so if the price is increasing and then the other demand is falling, what does that tell you? That tells you that these are complements, right? Because you got a positive and then a negative number. You've got negative 12. Quantity is decreasing by 12 units, so these are complements. All right, so let's check out the answer key here. You should have gotten this. So remember what these values mean, guys. For every 1% increase in price, demand falls by almost 1%, so it's slightly below unit elastic. So demand is inelastic. For every 1% increase in income, people's demand for this good increases by almost 2.33%. That's what that number means. This is a normal good because it's positive. Number 3 is negative, just like I mentioned. For every 1% increase in price, people's demand for the other good or service falls by 1.5%. That's what that value means, okay? So hopefully this work checked out. If this doesn't check out, the biggest problem I see is kids flip the equation. What they do is a lot of times they'll do the change in price divided by the change in demand, and that's going to screw you up. Remember, the correct method is always demand divided by price, okay? So check your work if you messed up. It's simple enough math, but it's easy to make mistakes. Always double check your work. All right, 4, 5, and 6. Go ahead and pause the videos. See if you could determine for 4, the cross price elasticity, for 5, elasticity of demand, and for 6, elasticity of demand. Okay, so for number 4, the price of a good is falling. So that's a decrease, right? We're looking at negative 7.75, negative 0.75, and then demand is rising. All right, so if the price is falling and then the demand is rising, we know we're going to get a negative value. So those should be complements. It's going to be a negative number. For number 5 and 6, you just got to find elasticity of demand. So there's your answers. Just like I talked about, it's a negative number for 4. It's going to be a complement. And these, for every 1% increase in price, demand falls by about 0.8%. And for every 1% increase in price, demand falls by about 1/3%. So because these are 5 and 6, the values are less than 1, demand is inelastic, not very flexible. Okay, so this is good news if you're a business. These are goods that probably don't have a lot of substitutes. All right, last set of practice problems. This is 7, 8, and 9. I want you to try these out. For number 7, use income elasticity. For number 8, you want to use cross price elasticity. Remember, complements and substitutes, we're looking for cross price. And then for number 9, we're looking for elasticity of demand. Notice that these are a little different from 4, 5, and 6 because I already took care of step 1 for you guys. I already found the percentage changes for you. So I've eliminated a step for you. You can feel so lucky and thank me later. So try out 7, 8, and 9. All right, for number 7, income elasticity. So again, we're using positives and negatives for 7 and 8. Absolute values for 9. So number 7, income's increasing, so it's +4, and then a -2. All right, so demand always goes on top. 2 divided by 4, you're going to get negative 0.5. Negative 0.5, and so because of that, these are inferior goods. When people make more money, they buy less of the inferior goods. It's proven right there, negative 0.5. For number 8, the price is rising, so +3. Demand is falling, so -1.5. So right there, you have to ask yourself, all right, we're going to get a negative value. Is that a complement or a substitute? It's going to be a complement. And then number 9, there's your answer keys. Okay? Negative 0.5, negative 0.5, you got inferior goods and complements. And number 9, because the percentage change in price is exactly equal to, it's the same ratio, 1 to 1, as the change in demand, we have something known as unit elasticity. And that is it. So, hope this video helped. If you are still having problems, make sure you write down some questions that you're having, bring them to the afternoon session, and I will be working with you guys, okay? All right, have a good rest of the day.